Stardate 73860.6. This is Hosts with Their Own Picard, with me, Jason Klom, and my co-host...
Dorb Jingleberry.
Is that your name?
No, it's 5 of 7.
Oh, 5 of 7. Oh,
5 of 7.
Oh no, I have to get going. Ladies and gentlemen,
Fresh goes better with Mentos Fresh and full alive. Dun, dun.
The Fresh Maker. Before we get started, I have to make sure that I've got this all ready to go. Okay, there we go. Let's see. For those of you who are gonna, it's not really working. I was hoping it would. I'm trying. Okay, where is it? Where is it pointed? Is it on anymore? It's probably not on anymore.
Oh, I see a red light.
It's on. I swear I can do
this.
You
gotta get it on the.
Oh.
There it is. Yeah.
That was worth it. For those of you who are not
audio
watching this show, because we may upload a video version of this. There we go. That looks kind of cool, actually. It's kind of crazy.
It's freaking it out.
It's freaking out the green screen for sure. I was ready to do that directly. Yeah. Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a show normally about Star Trek Picard. And before we ever started the show, and in fact, after season 1 ended, we were like, we really got to get back into digging into the Next Generation and Voyager. And we, I think right after we ended the podcast, a pandemic broke out. So, that's what happened, isn't it? That's
what happened. Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, so,
pretty much.
And so now we have just revisited. We live streamed on Dan's Twitch, which is twitch.tv/dgomiller. We just live streamed us watching Borg. That was the one Dan picked, and it's a very good choice. We're not going to watch these in any particular order. We're just watch them in an order in which we will enjoy them. Episodes that we figure we should probably revisit. It's season 5, episode 23. What'd you say?
I just wanted to see Baby Hugh is what I wanted to see.
Of course. I mean,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I remembered Hugh, and in my head it was a certain thing, but then at the other, in another way, I wasn't 100% sure that I did remember how he spoke, because he spoke like a person in Star Trek Picard.
Right. Yeah. He's like a normie.
And I did not remember. I was right in that I did not entirely remember how he spoke. So it was worth revisiting that and the whole story and how much of a dick everybody is in this episode.
Seriously,
that's what it's about. It's what it's supposed to be about. It's just like, when you have like enemy, like all you're thinking about is enemy. The show explores what that's like. Like, and it also makes it complete. What are we going to do? Let's start from the beginning. Again, this is Borga. I already made the joke on the live stream, something about Victor Borga, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. That's a joke that no one who isn't 70 will get. But it starts out that the Enterprise comes. What do they just get a signal that there's some life forms aboard down on a planet nearby?
They detect a wrecked ship.
Yeah,
and they scan it and they find a life sign.
Yes.
So then they go down to try to help, and find Hugh buried under a bunch. Let's be clear, a Borg that is unidentified at that time.
Yes. Under
a bunch of panels, etc.
And there are other Borg, I'm guessing 4 others, that are all
the math works out,
super dead on this planet.
Yep.
And basically nobody wants to take him back. Is it nobody? Because who goes down? It's Riker, Worf, and Geordi, right? Or is it, no, it wouldn't be Geordi.
And Beverly's
Beverly's
there.
She's the one. Oh, the only voice of reason at the beginning of this episode.
She's following her Hippocratic oath. She's saying, if nothing else, if we are going to leave him here, I'm going to heal him at least.
Yes, right. Yeah,
so they're like, fine, if we beam him on board, then his signals won't reach out to the other Borg and tell them where we are.
Right. And so they have to come up with this plan and how to, shield off the little cell that they put him in once they wake him up. But so they decide to bring him back, even though he is referred to as an it the whole time.
And Picard kind of throws an internal hissy fit, which obviously Deanna can pick up on because that's literally her job and ability.
Yeah, he's
like, I'm fine.
Don't tell me what I'm thinking. That's literally her job. You know that, right? That is her job description.
It's like Katie. It's like Katie. That little Katy Perry clip. It's you like tell everyone that you're fine, but it's not fine.
I don't think I know this clip.
That's Picard.
Okay.
It's become a meme that people put over things that are like someone drops your birthday cake or something, and they play that in the background. That kind of a thing. But anyway, So That's what Picard is.
Mm-hmm.
He's not fine, but he says he's fine.
Sure.
He's putting on a strong face.
Right.
Brave face.
A brave face.
A Picard face.
A Picard. Yeah, he's got resting Picard face. We know this. What happens next? I don't know. But I mean, this whole episode is like it's not an action episode. It is one of those.
It's designed to make you think about how you perceve other people is what this is about.
It's one of those that should remind people who are fans
there wasn't
of
anything
Picard,
going on in 1992, right?
Other than the Iraq War.
What now? Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's this little skirmish in the Middle East.
A little kerfuffle.
A little bit of a kerfuffle.
But that's definitely what inspired this, I think.
Yeah.
Is the people who would think about, the quote unquote ragheads, right? Like that's very dehumanizing.
Yeah.
Very similar to what we saw in this episode.
Yeah.
And they go so far as to say, well, if we have him here, if we can figure out how it communicates, we can implant a virus of some sort, and he could wipe out literally the entirety of the Borg with it as they transmit that data.
Let's weaponize this doe-eyed, innocent, clearly kidnapped child, basically.
To commit genocide.
They're not, like, the one thing that they're smart to do is, like, have them forget and have you forget, because they've established through the introduction of the Borg in whichever the first Borg episode is, through the introduction of the Borg, they've established that they are murderous. You can't call them a race. They're referred to as a race in this, but they're not a race. That would not be accurate.
It's inaccurate.
It is a
conglomeration.
An
assimilation,
they're not a civilization or anything. They are a single collective, which is the whole point. And therefore, we're supposed to think of them, again, they use hive mind. We're supposed to think of them as a murderous, soulless entity. And all they do is murder. All they do is collect people and just bring on more people to murder. And so they've done a very good job of setting them up as the show's main, most powerful, also, enemy. And then they're finally like, okay, let's dig into this. And you're right. Yeah, so they're digging into, it's very much about deprogramming of terrorists or cult members or whatever, and also the other people who have seen battle and feel like they have no choice but to hate this group of people that they all put in this
it's like
category.
They use the term we, and they think of themselves as a single entity, but at the same time, everyone who talks about the Borg on the show thinks of them as a single entity. They aren't individuals. They are just the Borg.
Right.
So in certain ways, they're falling into that trap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we kind of see that really come to a head at the very end of the episode.
But needless to say, Beverly is not okay with the whole murder virus thing.
No, she's really not. Like, again, regardless, like, she probably has her own personal feelings about these things, but she is the only one there who would never, ever, ever, she wouldn't give into it. She's not going to, because, again, she's taken an oath.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing that Pulaski's not there at this juncture.
Oh, my God. Oh,
like, how quickly can you do it?
Yep.
Can we make it work on Data too? Like,
right. Oh my God, I forgot how much she hated Data. Yeah, she might be my least favorite character.
Well, there's like a clip that I saw online recently that I had totally forgotten about, which was early days of Pulaski and Data. And she keeps calling him Data.
Yes, right.
And he corrects her and he's like, it's Data. And she's like, what's the difference? He's like, one is information. He says, one is my name, one is not.
Yeah.
Like, snap.
Yeah, right. Which is, have you also heard that, we probably already talked about this on the show, but like some people have posited that the reason most people now pronounce the word Data is because of Picard, because of pronunciation.
I would not be surprised.
Most people did say data before, or I've even heard data in things, but yeah, mostly people said data. And after he's quote unquote mispronounced it, supposedly that changed people's general pronunciation of the word.
There you go. Star Trek changing the world once again. So now they're talking to him, and they teleported him into this little like containment unit in I don't know where it is. Engineering, the med bay.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. I think it's the brig. It looks like how the brig looks later on, so I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Maybe they've got a couple brig locations, so maybe they built that and then teleported them into it. But so that they can. Oh, but then Geordi feeds him. He puts in a little thing for him to eat. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. We don't see that though, right? Or is that
what?
The actual feeding, or is that what the thing in the wall is supposed
That's
to
what the thing in the wall was, because he's saying he's going to need food, and that's how they eat.
Oh, weird. So that's how they interface and how they actually get nutrition too.
Yep, they eat through their butt.
Through his hand. But I was actually, honestly, there was one thing I did keep wondering, looking at Hugh's costume. There's no flap. There's no anything else. So where do he poop from?
You don't. They're probably way more efficient. That's what all those little thingies in.
Yeah, right. Everything.
He uses it just does little mini fission and fusion inside his body and turns it into whatever
it almost does look like a still suit. It does look a little like
I was thinking of that later with all the hoses. I'm like, it's totally a still suit.
The hoses, and it's kind of got like, it's a little form fitting in.
For those who don't know, a still suit is from Dune, where the people who live on the desert planet, the natives, have these suits that recycle their water.
Yes.
Their sweat, their pee, because there's so little of it that's necessary. Anyway, they ask him what his name is. He's like, huh? And they're like, your designation. And he's like, 3 of 5, because there were 5 of them on the ship.
Sure.
That's the math that Jay did earlier.
Oh, he's a middle child. Never even pegged that. Poor Hugh.
Explains so much. So much.
I am a middle bot. He doesn't talk like that. That's not fair.
But then then he asks them what their designations are, and Beverly's like, oh, we don't have them. We have names. I'm Beverly, and this is Geordi. And he's like, do I have a name? And they're like, do you fucking want one? And he's like, and then they're like keep repeating the word you. And he says it weird, and then Geordi goes with Hugh. And as I said on the live stream, it's like every one of those other sci-fi things where they have to come up with a name for an alien species. Yeah. It's literally the laziest name you can come up with becomes their name forever and ever and ever.
If he'd have been like, listen, Captain Piss Pants. Captain Piss Pants? No. I was calling you that as an insult.
My name is Captain Piss Pants. They actually do lampshade that in an episode of Rick and Morty a little bit.
Oh, really?
Because Jermaine Clement plays a cloud from another dimension.
Okay.
And Rick comes in and calls him a fart. And then he's like, and they him and Morty were having a conversation about how he doesn't have a name. He's like, Fart, yes, I like that name. So his name is Fart from then on.
Oh my God, of course it is. Of course.
But it's Jermaine Clement, so it's very much, but he's speaking in like kind of a high tier voice, like he's above everything, but it's still Jermaine Clement's voice. So it just sounds great when he says fart. I like this fart.
Oh my God. I mean, of course. Yeah, I mean that it is always, I think we also, the other example I gave was Finn's name in the new Star Trek movies, because he's
Star Wars movies.
FN bleep blurp blop blop, and then he's like, oh, Finn. That's a fun name. So,
yeah.
To be fair, it's better than Han Solo's origin of his name in Solo, which was not a bad movie, but
it's just that's just Ari liked that movie, but she hates movies that when they're like trying to like there's canon that's established, they have to jam it all within a week.
How about
everything you know about a character fits within a week? No,
how about also
not their whole life.
You could have left that part of mystery. Nobody cares. It's the old Patton Oswalt bit of like the whole bit about the prequels where George Lucas, you walk up to George Lucas, he's like, hey kid, you like ice cream? Yeah. Hey, great, here's a bag of rock salt. It's like, I don't need to know the component parts of how it got made. I just want to see Darth Vader swing around a lightsaber. Oh, but here you get to see him as a little kid, and you get to see him ride around in a pod racer. That's a good bit. The rock salt bit is the best part of it.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm sorry. That's a Star Wars Minute here on Hosts with Their Own Picard.
Yep.
Podcast we can't remember the name of. Look, we haven't gotten to Guinan yet. Is that in any way the next scene? That is next.
Yep.
I had forgotten this was a Guinan episode.
Yeah. So they're fencing, Guinan
Yeah.
and Picard, and if you
Yes.
close your eyes in that scene, they might be fencing. If you
They
know
might
what
be
I mean.
really fencing.
Fencing.
They have 2 scenes together in this episode,
They
and if
do.
you just play the audio and maybe put a little bit of Barry White over it.
Oh yeah, baby.
I may have to experiment with that. I may have to
Okay.
actually do that.
But anyway, they have a discussion about, bringing him on board. And of course, if you don't recall, her entire race was murdered by the Borg. So
Which I did not, by the way. I had forgotten that was her whole deal.
That's her whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so she's trying to tell him that bringing that Borg on board and not just murdering them all was a bad idea.
Sure.
And he's basically, felt sorry for him, kind of thing. And then so they go back. She lost like 2 games or whatever, and then they go back to fencing, and then she goes, oh my god, and she's like injured, and so he goes to check on her, and then she stabs him with her fencing foil, saying, "You felt bad for me."
Yeah.
Right, implying that just because you feel bad for it is most likely what's going to get you murdered.
Right.
So
which, by the way, super cynical, but I get it.
Right, and it's looking at it from 2 sides, right? Like, I get where she's coming from.
Yeah, she's a Holocaust survivor, and she doesn't like the look of Nazis. You know what? Can't blame her.
Yeah,
really can't blame her.
Nope. But then we're having more conversations with Beverly and Geordi and Hugh, talking about things and talking about, like, sleep and having the voices in his head. Like, basically, they realize that right now, because he doesn't hear his brethren, he's lonely. He has feelings.
Yeah, right. Isn't that interesting? Like, that whole metaphor of, like, oh, my entire support system isn't here, and he feels lonely, but, like, the idea is it is a forced support system that he then has to realize he can live without. Like, it is an interesting combination of things.
Yeah. It's it's a deep exploration that you can the great thing is that you can understand all sides, right? Like you get that it would be lonely if you're in everyone you knew, your whole family was just gone, right? Like, let's say that your support structure are the texts you send to people on your phone, and then your phone breaks for like 3 days and you can't send texts. You're gonna be lonely if that's your main source of communication.
Right.
I'm thinking, like, in this period of time, there's a lot of people who probably get where he was coming from.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it's worth revisiting, I guess, for that reason alone.
Yeah. Right. He's isolated. He's got forced self-isolation right now. But ironically, to give him a virus.
Yeah, right? Oh my god. Yeah, like the whole time I'm like, oh right, that's still their fucking plan. You fucking
they're still going down with it. And Beverly's grumbling early on, and Geordi's like, saying, we have to do this. They're trying to wipe out civilization. She's like, I'm helping. I'm just not happy about it. I don't have to be happy about it.
Right.
And that's very military too, right? Like, you're following orders, you're doing what you're being told is the best course of action, but individually you may not 100% agree with the idea behind it.
Right.
But you understand that they're doing what they need to do to get the job done, right?
So, they're gonna Trojan horse him. They're gonna bring it. The other thing too is, like, obviously this episode doesn't work if you had seen Hugh basically at any point before we meet him, because you would see him assimilating. Very likely you'd see him.
That was definitely what he was doing.
We cannot watch that. If we watch that, then we have no capacity, or we have much less capacity anyway to relate to him. There's a lot more legwork you have to do. This way it's just like blank slate. Make sure he's young. We what do we look? He's 26 this episode. He was 26.
The actor was Jonathan Darko.
He's great in this. Obviously he's a delight. But 26 years old, very innocent looking, very innocent sounding. All of it lends itself to you liking Hugh, especially when you start to see, like, he does. I think he's moving. I feel like the moment he starts to feel more quote unquote human is the more his eyes move. Like, he's the eye. Pardon me. He's only got the one eye to work with, so he's got.
That's true.
that's complicated. I would love to ask him, what the fuck is it like to act with just the one eye? I want to know if there's anything you're doing that's different.
It's and we mentioned this before
Mm-hmm.
on this podcast, that he was channeling the confusion of his partner who was dying, who had died of AIDS like a year prior.
Right.
And the dimension stuff he went through as he deteriorated.
Yeah.
And like that carries, like you see it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, big time.
But then
I couldn't watch it without thinking that. Yeah.
So we see their plan. They show us their plan. They have some sort of image that supposedly is an anomaly inside an enigma wrapped inside another anomaly, whatever. And
other than secret sauce.
Basically what that's going to do, that's going to cause a cascade effect, because they're going to try to process it and they can't. And every step through,
it's supposed to be an impossible shape, basically. Is that what they said?
multiples, multiple layers of it. So as they dig through it, it gets more and more impossible, and that's supposed to cause some sort of feedback loop that will cause their entire
2 dowels
thing.
or 3 dowels? How many feet does this elephant have?
Yeah, I was looking at that going, I don't know about that. It seems like if it's a useless image, they would just throw it away.
Yeah, right. Disregard.
Yeah, they're very efficient in that way. If it's not an important image, why bother?
Right.
So I don't know that would have worked, frankly.
Right. Maybe not.
They're
just hoping this would be the Nigerian prince scam of
right?
of
Borgies.
Borgies.
But then Geordi's like, I'm not sure we should be doing this, Captain, because he seems like he's got feelings. He seems like blah blah blah. And Picard's like, he's a goddamn monster, basically. And he's like, well, then why don't you talk to him?
Right.
And so, and Guinan went to talk to him, and she was, that was the thing.
Yeah.
Geordi was saying he wasn't comfortable, and then Guinan goes to visit Picard, and after she talked to him, and like they had a whole conversation prior with Geordi. He's saying, Geordi and Beverly, like, we don't want to be assimilated, and made him start making Hugh doubt themselves.
Right.
And then
it's interesting though too that's the thing that the writers chose, and I apologize for not looking at the writer's name, but that's what they chose. Is it's like the reason they don't look at it as a bad thing is they've been programmed to think not just that this is best for you, so therefore you must actually want this deep down. Like that's what they've been programmed to think, and that's how it works, and that's how it seeps into your brain. Good.
And so then Guinan visits him, and she's like, you're gonna assimilate all of us, and he's like, but you don't want to. And she's like, but resistance is futile. And he's like, resistance, he's doing it by rote, as often happens.
Sure.
But then she says, well, some of us survived it nonetheless.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, resistance is not futile? And Guinan's like, wait, he gets it?
Oh, fuck.
Wait, fuck?
Why did I do this?
God damn it. And then she goes to visit Picard and tells him basically what she experienced. And he was telling her he's basically, he's a monster, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, why don't you go talk to him? So then we get to the captain's ready room, and they transport Hugh in. Yeah. And he recognizes Picard as Locutus.
Yeah.
Locutus, I know him. I worked for him.
I love this guy. I did not. So I didn't.
He was Employee of the Month 5 months running.
I didn't realize that is essentially also a callback in Picard. Like I didn't realize that is. It's so established. Whatever. We should give them credit because it is a fan service show. But man.
But it also shows like the whole concept is they. Like you always see the cube, the single cube, but it truly is such a collective that after Locutus was created, everyone in the Delta Quadrant would know about him. Everyone that Voyager would have known about Locutus of Borg.
Right.
Because of the way they work. So it's a reminder that that's a thing. Like any Borg knows who he is. It's ingrained. Especially because he was such an important Borg in their society.
He has dined out on that so many times. We're like, hey, let's get this guy a drink, huh?
But then Picard is like, yeah, I am Locutus, and we're going to take these assholes over.
Oh, this whole part is like, this is the part I think that breaks my heart the most, because this is all Picard, like, trying to, basically keep him fucking subdued. And keep him cult-minded for the purposes of a weapon.
He's trying to say, no matter what I say, he's going to want to do it. Yeah. And then Hugh goes, but no, they don't want it. He's like, it doesn't matter. It's futile. But he's like, but it's not futile. And he's like, He's like, what about Geordi? He's like, yes, you're going to assimilate him. And he's like, he doesn't want to. And he's like, well, then he must die. He's like, I don't want to kill him. He basically, that's when I think he goes, I won't do it. And then
don't have to take
Picard's like, whoa, what? Like,
okay.
I will not do it. And all of a sudden he's like, mother, goddamn shit. Fuck.
What
God,
was the point?
Shit.
Supposed to hate this motherfucker.
Ah.
You motherfucker. Yeah. By the way, this is like, to me, it's the hardest scene in terms of like, it's really stressful, like watching Picard be such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But also, it is the thing that made me realize, oh fuck, the whole theme of, well, there are about 10 themes to work out in this whole episode. It's that
right. Yeah.
but the whole idea of viral compassion, everything out, this is all about viruses and what you can do with the concept of virality. And it can be negative, it can be positive, but regardless, Hugh is until he becomes fully self-aware, which does not happen in this episode, he is subject to virality regardless. It's going to happen. And at the very least, if it weren't for Crusher, like literally just telephone gaming compassion from one person to the next,
absolutely
fucked. And that's the whole, and I'm watching it, I'm like, there are a couple times where it's like Geordi, I mean, all of a sudden is like, no, I feel for him, Captain. I'm like, well, that's fast. That happened. I'm like, oh no, it has to, because we have so many characters to burn through to care about him. Everybody we've seen has to kind of give a shit about him when they hated him before.
And here's the thing too, is that we know these characters are very compassionate people.
Yes, yeah. Outside
of
that,
they've been programmed to think of the Borg as a single monstrous unit.
Yep.
And so not only is Hugh being deprogrammed from being this hive mind, they're being deprogrammed from this idea that they can't be saved.
Yeah, right. Which is
it's all memetics and all that kind of thing. And so basically Picard gets everyone together and goes, God damn it, everyone. He's a person.
Son of a bitch. Well,
son of a bitch.
This is the last thing I wanted to say. But
so he's like, we can't do this. But then there's this whole suggestion of, well, what if he could virally pass independence to the Borg? It introduces an idea that isn't initially programmed, but they assimilate it.
Right.
And so he goes on his Shakespeare speech about that. But then they're like, well, we wouldn't be any worse than them if we didn't give them a choice.
Right.
He's like, he was saying with the virus part of it, they almost were as bad as they were with their, assimilation of their minds, basically.
Right.
So they get with Hugh and they're like, you have a choice. You could either go back to where you came from and spread your independence to the other Borg to help, or you could stay here with us. That's an option. And he's like, I could stay here with Geordi. So he despite Beverly being the one who fucking saved him, latches on to Geordi.
Yep. Yeah.
Women cannot get a break even in the 24th century.
Yeah, what is it? What's it about the relationship? What's the key point then there that makes him latch on to Geordi, do we think?
I think it's because Geordi's Geordi's really the mom, because he gave him a place to live. He feeds him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Cares for him and maintains him. He created the parts that fixed his brain. Like Geordi's the mama of him.
Yeah,
for all intents and regretful mama, but he's the mama of him.
Sure. And when he looks to Beverly, he says, "Not the mama," and he hits her with a frying pan, and
then the season's over.
Yeah.
But then he's like, they'll know where I am. They'll never stop trying to find me.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's a possibility. And so he decides to potentially self-sacrifice and go back to the planet. And then Geordi asks if he can go with. And they're like, well, the Borg don't really attack you if you're not doing anything aggressive.
Right.
And Hugh confirms, says, they don't assimilate individuals. They assimilate civilizations.
Yeah.
So like, all right. So Geordi transports down, and you see the other Borgs show up and disintegrate the Borgs and take him with, and sort of that's where the episode ends.
Yeah.
Like,
The very last thing though is like, so the one guy comes over, they like connect wrists so that he can download Hugh's shit.
Right.
And I'm curious as to like how much maybe they figured out a way to wipe out the memory part so that they can't see it, but whatever. So there's one guy comes over with a big old handlebar mustache, which is really just a big thing covering his mouth. Thing. And they come over and they get ready to beam up. But right as they're beaming up, Hugh the whole time has been looking forward, but then for a split second he looks over at Geordi as if to say, "Hey, I'm still here." And Geordi's like, "What?" And then that's when he beams up, and then that's that's the end. And it's a nice bit to be like, "Oh, hopeful."
Yeah, and it ends without Picard doing like captain's log at the end, saying, we've like, he doesn't explain the moral of the story. It's on you to figure it out.
Yeah, which is good, and it is more complicated. And also, at the end of the day, again, Picard was the big dick of the episode. He was a fucking shithead.
Yeah.
Not unmotivated, by the way, but he was a
this
big
is after
shithead.
Best of Both Worlds when he was Locutus, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, despite what he tells Deanna, he's got some baggage.
Yeah. And he's got all the power. So since he's got all the power, it's a little crazier when he, is like, well, fuck it. We'll kill them all. Why not?
Yeah.
Crazy town. It's a good episode. Good God. I'm glad you picked that one as our first non-chronological episode. I don't think I would have today wanted to watch Encounter at Farpoint parts 1 and 2. That would have not have really suited me. This is a good one. This was a good one.
I'd been wanting to rewatch it after seeing Hugh again. So it was good.
We haven't done this show in a while. Is there something I'm forgetting that we should be doing? By the way, my audio is totally crashing, but at least we've got Zoom, so I'll at least have that as a backup. What am I forgetting? Is there something I'm forgetting? Because we should start having. We don't have segment. Do we have a segment? We don't have any.
Usually just the one. Dan had to look that up.
Oh yeah. Was there anything you had to look up in this episode?
Not really.
No. Okay. I'm wondering. I opened up a pack of my Star Trek: The Next Generation playing cards, and I'm wondering if there's any playing cards. Keep saying that, trading cards. I'm looking to see if there's anything we can talk about. Nope. That's just data. Nope. And nope. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Nope. I was hoping there'd be a Borg in here. There's no Borg. No.
I thought it was interesting that. Yes. Okay.
What?
That was just a very aggressive yes.
Yes.
That there wasn't a lot of data in this episode, and it feels like there would be a conversation there.
Yeah, you would think so, because
maybe they were trying to focus more on the humanity part of him.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's true. It would have been cool to hear what Data had to say on the subject.
I find it interesting that Data's memory banks don't get busted by that anomalous shape. But then the Borg would.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. I wonder what that means.
Maybe that's why they weren't exploring too deeply into the Data side of things.
Don't want to. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's
okay. We get to explore Data a little bit more in the next episode that has Hugh in it.
That's true. That is true. I don't know if that'll be the next one we watch or not, but I mean,
probably not. I think we'll give it a break for that.
Okay, that's fine. Well, thank everybody for joining back with us. Hopefully, you have remained subscribed. I'm trying to think. We're recording video, so should we just put this up somewhere? I guess we should just put this up somewhere.
Might as well just put it up somewhere.
So we'll put a link. It'll probably be at my YouTube, which is youtube.com/jklamm, JKLAMM. I think that's what it is. I should know my own YouTube address. If not, I will change that audio so that it's something else. But yeah, so there you go. You can
just go more.
Dan, do you have anything you want to tell the people about? What you want to promote?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and check out our Dungeons and Dragons podcast, OD&D podcast.com, of Dice and Dens on pretty much any major podcast program. We have that, and OD&D Presents, which is a companion where we have an ongoing Deadlands campaign and just some miscellanea. Also, if you check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/dgomiller, you'll find some VODs from a charity fundraiser that we did playing Dungeons and Dragons. And also on my YouTube channel, which you can find on odndpodcast.com, because I created it after it was easy to get your own custom subdomain on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
you can find the link there.
Yeah.
And you can watch them
good.
on YouTube.
Yeah. What is the policy on that? I don't even
You have to
know.
have 100 followers.
You have to have 100 followers. I see. Interesting. Okay. That I guess I lucked out. I got grandfathered
Yeah.
on some of those. I will tell everybody. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, because the computer's being a little funky. I will tell everybody to go to professionalblur.com. That's my podcast, The Professional Blur. It's about extra work, background acting work in movies, and check out Dan and Jay's Comedy Hour, which is danandjay.com. That's where Dan and I talk about nothing, and sometimes Star Trek. I mean, let's be honest. We definitely do talk about Star Trek on that show too. We'll just try and chill out a little bit on the Star Trek since we're back on these episodes.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Please join us next time, whenever that is. These will not be necessarily weekly or regular. But we will try as soon as we can to make these a regular thing again.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, may the force be with you.
And always with you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. You guys can find us on Twitter at Picard Podcast and on stolendress.com and anywhere else you can find podcasts. Stolen Dress Entertainment.
Hey, it's my turn. Ah!